I think more shock and dauntingness was more the feeling I felt. But it was, the thing is, it's, I think I was on such a high anyway, and so was Catherine, about George, that...
What if I told you that Prince William, once seen as the royal peacemaker, is now stepping into the role of royal enforcer, and that behind the golden gates of Buckingham Palace, a quiet storm is brewing? One that could permanently sever ties between the monarchy and the Sussexes? Yes, whispers inside the palace suggest that plans to strip Meghan Markle and Prince Harry of their royal titles have not only resurfaced, but that they're gaining serious traction. And the most shocking part? Prince William is allegedly leading the charge. But why now? Just when the drama seemed to settle. Just when the world had begun to adjust to Meghan and Harry's Hollywood lifestyle and their distance from the royal spotlight, something triggered a new wave of royal retaliation. According to insiders, the tipping point wasn't a podcast, a documentary, or even a book. It was something far more personal. Something that made William draw a line in the sand. One palace aide, speaking strictly off the record, claimed that William has been seething in private, watching years of royal tradition get picked apart in interviews, memoirs, and media appearances by two people still carrying prestigious titles tied to the very institution they continue to criticize. And now, the prince is done waiting, done staying silent. But this is no simple family feud. This is about legacy, about duty, and about power. You see, retaining the titles of Duke and Duchess of Sussex gives Meghan and Harry a certain level of royal gravitas, one they continue to use on the global stage. Whether they intend to or not, that title carries weight. It opens doors. It makes headlines. But some within the palace, we're told, believe it's time to shut those doors for good. And here's where the plot thickens.
I think everyone having a right to a safe and stable home benefits us all. I come with no other agenda than desperately trying to help people who are in need.
William, known for playing the long game, has reportedly grown tired of his father's soft approach. While King Charles has taken a stance of cautious diplomacy, Prince William now wants firm action. No more loopholes, no more gray areas, just a clean cut. But the process to remove a royal title isn't as simple as flipping a switch. It would require more than just royal disapproval. It would need political support, legal clarity, and perhaps most importantly, the courage to weather a global media storm. Yet if the whispers are true, Prince William may have already set the wheels in motion. So what exactly has he uncovered? Who else is behind this royal crackdown? And how close are we to witnessing Meghan and Harry lose the titles that still link them to the crown? Stay with us, because what comes next will shake the very foundations of the House of Windsor. It all started with a whisper, one palace aide, one overheard conversation, one folder, locked, stamped confidential, and quietly shuffled from desk to desk within the marble walls of Kensington Palace. According to sources close to the royal circle, the information wasn't meant to leave the room, but it did. And now, what was once a sealed private concern has erupted into the public domain, thanks to what appears to be a high-level leak and a member of staff with growing concerns about the direction of the monarchy. As the story goes, a royal staffer, someone who's worked under both Charles and William, allegedly passed along details of a confidential discussion between Prince William and key palace advisors. The topic? The ongoing presence of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex within the royal narrative, and what the crown can legally do to distance itself once and for all. And here's the most compelling part. It wasn't just a moment of royal frustration. This was reportedly a strategy meeting, where legal experts, communications officers, and high-ranking aides were asked to weigh the risks of officially removing the Sussex titles from Harry and Meghan. While there is no official confirmation, no press release, no royal statement, what the leak reveals is that Prince William may have reached a breaking point. After years of interviews, Netflix specials, and memoir revelations, William has allegedly concluded that keeping the Sussex titles intact not only confuses the public, but weakens the royal brand. One insider described it as a matter of royal hygiene, clearing out the contradictions, the mixed messaging, the imbalance of holding titles while actively distancing oneself from the institution they represent. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Two of them were expected. Senior palace officials known for managing reputation and legacy. But one name stunned insiders. An external legal advisor known for drafting sensitive royal protocols. That individual's involvement suggests this isn't just chatter. It's a developing operation, quietly building momentum behind palace doors. And the moment the leak hit select media outlets, the speculation exploded. Commentators began asking the obvious questions. Is the crown really preparing for this? Is William going rogue? Or is he acting with his father's quiet blessing? Because if Prince William is in fact spearheading this effort, it marks a bold and historic shift in royal behavior. No longer the silent heir, no longer the peacekeeper, but a future king actively reshaping the royal institution, one title at a time. And this is just the beginning. So what did William really discover? What part did Charles play, if any? And how far will the monarchy go to reclaim control? Stay tuned, because the next chapter reveals the plot behind the plot, and why this could mark the ultimate undoing of the Sussex legacy. The truth was never meant to surface, hidden in plain sight, buried within layers of protocol, and quietly passed among only the most trusted palace eyes. There it was, a confidential memorandum allegedly detailing the conditions.
The entitlement, the virtue signaling, the hypocrisy, all of it is encapsulated in these two.
And the untouchability.
Right.
You found out, right? If
Yes.
you say something that crosses them and
Yes.
you hurt their feelings, then they're very upset.
And they believe they have a right to get people removed from their jobs if they don't agree with everything they're saying.
Well, I will say,
Even if they're lying.
I think the public reaction to them is so heartening because they really are quite terrible. I mean, I'm watching this as an American. I have no dog in this particular fight, but I gotta say, they're just the worst. I mean, I actually read Prince Harry's awful memoir, and the number of things that are obviously not true, and the absolute self-delusion and arrogant self-delusion with
and
which
the
he
amount
addresses
of
these things.
intrusion into his own family's life, quoting family members from funerals and stuff, far more intrusive than anything any tabloids
He wants
ever
privacy, but he has very specific memories of using particular facial cream on. I didn't know the word. I'm American. We don't use the word Todger in my country, so I have no idea.
Under which Prince Harry and Meghan Markle could be stripped of their royal titles. According to one high-level source, it wasn't just a document. It was a blueprint, a carefully drafted guide that outlined what must happen and how it must happen if the monarchy chose to make the break official. And the man who uncovered it? None other than Prince William himself. It began with what was supposed to be a routine briefing. William, increasingly involved in day-to-day palace operations, requested an update on royal protocol. Specifically how titles are handled post-abdication, scandal, or constitutional conflict. A curious request, some thought at the time, but what he was really looking for was precedent. What he found instead was the current plan already in quiet motion. Sources say William's expression changed the moment he read the document. Not with shock, but with a knowing look, as if he'd suspected for months that something had been brewing beneath the surface. The document, believed to be commissioned under Charles's instruction shortly after Queen Elizabeth's death, was intentionally kept discreet. It proposed a multi-phase review of all non-working royals and questioned whether holding on to grand titles was appropriate for individuals no longer serving the crown. And here's the twist. The document didn't explicitly target Meghan and Harry, but the implications were unmistakable. Every clause, every condition, pointed straight to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. William reportedly left that meeting in silence, but those closest to him noticed a shift, a hardening. For years, he had watched as his brother and Meghan capitalized on the very institution they had criticized. He had stayed quiet, loyal to the crown, respectful of his father's gentler approach. But now, with the truth in his hands, and the blueprint for action already drawn, William had a choice. He could leave it buried, or he could light the match. Reports suggest that William has since held 2 private consultations with senior aides. No press, no leaks, just strategy. He's weighing timing, fallout, and the one wild card no one can predict, Meghan's response. Because once this becomes public, it will ignite a media inferno unlike anything the palace has faced since Diana. But William appears ready. Ready to move forward. Ready to sever the final tie. And if this plot unfolds as insiders predict, the Sussex titles may soon be nothing more than a footnote in royal history. When word of Prince William's discovery reached Montecito, it wasn't through a formal letter. It wasn't even through the press. According to a source close to the Sussex circle.
Now, I've got to play you this incredible footage. This is just the most cringeworthy thing I've seen all week. Meghan Markle, really awkward encounter after she tried to join her husband and his polo teammates on stage after a match last week. Now, it's just so cringeworthy. I don't know why she's up there, for one, but she was seen sort of pushing for a prime spot on the podium. The teammates were having none of it. They were just not even acknowledging her, not sort of letting her participate. Even Harry was, not paying her much attention. What's going on here? What's she doing on stage? And surely she knows that doesn't look good. She tried to grab that thing out of one of the teammates' hands, and he wouldn't give her whatever it was he was holding. The whole thing is a catastrophe and very embarrassing. And this is a very image-conscious couple.
Meghan Markle learned about it through, of all things, a quiet phone call from a London contact. And the moment she heard it, she went cold, the insider revealed. Stone cold. Then came the fury. Meghan reportedly saw it not as a royal procedure, but as a calculated personal attack. One aimed not just at silencing her, but at erasing her entirely from royal history. The idea that her title, Duchess of Sussex, the last official piece of the crown still attached to her name, could be stripped away, was nothing short of betrayal. After everything we've been through, Meghan is said to have told her inner circle, they still want to control the narrative. But it wasn't just about the title. It was about what it symbolized. To Meghan, it represented more than status. It was proof of her place in the monarchy, however uncomfortable that place had become. And as for Prince Harry, sources say he was devastated. While Meghan's reaction was fierce, Harry's response was quietly shaken. He never thought William would go this far, a friend confided. Not after everything. Not after Diana. Insiders claim Harry confronted the possibility that his own brother, his once best friend and confidant, was now the architect of his final exile. And for Harry, that realization cut deeper than any headline ever could. What followed was reportedly a tense strategy meeting between the couple and their legal team. Meghan wanted to go public, a statement, a challenge, a full-on media counterattack.
Last night, Meghan Markle was interviewed by Oprah, and I wanted to do a whole piece about it, but we ran out of time.
Well, how much time do we have?
1 minute.
That's all the time I need.
Start the clock.
First of all, if you thought they were going to come on TV and not really spill the tea, then you would be wrong as but, because they said everything. So, they were both like, it's not the queen who was racist. It's this group of people who run the monarchy called the Firm. And I was like, are you talking about that rap group with Nas and Foxy Brown in it? Then I don't know who the Firm is. Also, someone here is racist and it's not the ancient white woman. Okay.
41 seconds.
But Harry? He wasn't ready. He feared that a direct response would only feed the narrative. One that painted them as perpetual victims, always in opposition to the crown. Still, Meghan wasn't about to let this slide. According to a source close to the couple, she made a stunning comment behind closed doors. If they take the title, they take the gloves off. I'm not staying silent anymore. A bold warning, or perhaps a promise. Whether that was a passing comment or the early notes of a plan remains unclear. But one thing is certain, Meghan is preparing for something, and Harry, torn between his royal blood and his chosen path, may be facing his most painful crossroads yet. Will he stand by quietly, or will this be the moment he finally steps out of William's shadow and into battle? Because this time, the war isn't just about titles, it's about legacy. Once known for its polished unity and polished silence, the royal family now stands fractured, not just in private, but in full view of a world that once saw them as untouchable. And at the heart of that fracture, two brothers, once inseparable. According to royal insiders, the divide has deepened in ways no one could have anticipated. Prince William's alleged efforts to strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles have not only widened the chasm, it has triggered a silent civil war within the royal household. On one side stands Prince William, the heir, loyal to duty, structure, and the monarchy's future. On the other, Prince Harry, the spare-turned rebel, guided by emotion, personal truth, and a vision outside the palace walls. But what about King Charles? Sources close to the palace say the king is caught in a painful balancing act. A father desperate to preserve what's left of his family, but also a monarch under pressure to uphold the dignity of the crown. Insiders say Charles has been deeply disturbed by the internal battles, often finding himself the mediator between two worlds that no longer speak the same language. And though he has refrained from making a public stand, many believe he is quietly leaning toward William's strategy, if only to preserve the monarchy from future embarrassment. Then there's Princess Catherine. Once hailed as a bridge between the brothers, Kate has, according to sources, withdrawn from any peacekeeping efforts. After Meghan's repeated media insinuations, including claims of emotional distress linked to Kate, the Princess of Wales has reportedly closed that chapter. A former palace aide put it bluntly, Kate doesn't trust Meghan. Not anymore. Not after what was said. Not after what was implied. And while Queen Camilla has kept her distance, other senior royals, like Princess Anne and Prince Edward, are said to be firmly in William's corner, viewing the Sussex drama as a distraction that has dragged the monarchy into unnecessary chaos. But here's the most telling sign of division. Insiders say that two completely separate briefings are now held within royal walls. One for the core royals managing the firm, and one for broader family matters. Meghan and Harry, of course, are no longer included in either. What began as a family disagreement has now evolved into a cold, calculated separation of power, purpose, and legacy. And the cost? A royal family once defined by unshakable decorum now risks becoming a house divided by ambition, betrayal, and the weight of history. And as the lines continue to be drawn, one question looms: will this royal divide ever be mended? Or are we witnessing the slow, public unraveling of the House of Windsor? The moment whispers of title removal hit the headlines, the public response was electric. Not cautious, not measured, but explosive. Across social media platforms, the story ignited a firestorm of debate, pulling in everyone from casual observers to die-hard royal loyalists. In one corner, supporters of the monarchy rallied behind Prince William. To them, the move was not an attack. It was a long-overdue correction, a necessary step to preserve the dignity of the crown. They argued that one cannot publicly criticize the monarchy, profit from royal connections, and still hold on to royal titles without consequence. In their eyes, William was simply cleaning house. Decisive, regal. But in the opposing corner stood the Sussex supporters, loud, global, and fiercely protective. For them, this was yet another targeted attack on Meghan, a woman who had already endured relentless scrutiny, character assassination, and isolation within palace walls. To them, the potential removal of titles was vindictive, punishment for choosing independence, retaliation for telling the truth. News programs debated the legality of it all. Morning talk shows dissected every line of every insider leak. Polls sprang up overnight, asking citizens whether Meghan and Harry should keep their titles. The numbers varied, shifting with every new headline, every subtle dig, every hint of another royal rift. And then came the celebrities. Some publicly sided with Meghan, calling the monarchy outdated and oppressive. Others remained silent, unwilling to touch the powder keg. But one notable figure posted a cryptic message online. When a woman speaks her truth, the world calls her difficult. When a man defends tradition, He's called a leader. That post went viral. But the most surprising reaction came from within the UK itself. While some Brits expressed exhaustion with the ongoing drama, others admitted to feeling torn. Many still hold deep affection for Harry, the boy who walked behind his mother's coffin, who served in Afghanistan, who was once the nation's favorite royal. But they also understand the weight of the crown, the symbolism, the expectations, and the idea that titles come with responsibility. Meanwhile, former palace staffers and royal commentators offered their takes. Some confirmed that such a title removal wouldn't be unprecedented, but it would be bold. Others suggested the palace was floating the idea publicly to gauge reaction before taking formal steps. It's clear the story is no longer just about titles. It's about identity, loyalty, power, and the ever-blurring line between family and institution. As one newspaper headline put it, "The crown strikes back, but at what cost?" Because the public isn't just watching. They're choosing sides. And the fallout from those choices may shape the monarchy's future far more than anyone inside the palace walls can yet imagine. Within hours of the leaked title removal rumors, global media outlets went into overdrive. From London to Los Angeles, Sydney to Johannesburg, the headlines were loud, relentless, and laser-focused on one explosive question.
Well, Harry and Meghan's interview was disappointing to say the least. Most of all because it was very much focused on them and their personal stories or questions, and there were no experts, no actionable information given, no advice. It was very doom and gloom.
Were Prince Harry and Meghan Markle about to be officially cut off from the royal brand? International broadcasters broke into scheduled programming with urgent developments from Buckingham Palace. Major networks brought in body language experts, royal biographers, and crisis PR specialists, all dissecting every royal move and every whispered word. For a story centered on silence and secrecy, the noise was deafening. In the United States, the coverage was emotional. News anchors framed Meghan as the embattled outsider, once again caught in the machinery of an ancient institution unwilling to evolve. Daytime talk shows called it a modern royal purge. Online outlets began recounting Meghan's entire journey from Hollywood actress to duchess to cultural icon, and now to Target. In the UK, the tone was colder. Papers that had once lauded Harry's charm now questioned his judgment. Commentators wondered aloud whether he had become a liability to the legacy of his mother. Meanwhile, headlines about Meghan grew sharper, more pointed. Some suggested she had manipulated Harry into his current state of estrangement. Others accused her of orchestrating her own victimhood to stay relevant. But perhaps most telling was the divide in how global regions interpreted the same events. In Africa, where Meghan once undertook royal tours and found brief moments of peace, some editorial voices praised her for enduring what they called the crown's frozen intolerance. In Canada, where the couple briefly lived, analysts debated the broader implications of monarchy in modern times, questioning its very relevance. Even in nations where royal affairs usually get little attention, Thailand, Brazil, India, Meghan and Harry were suddenly back on front pages, trending on social platforms, dominating YouTube thumbnails and Twitter hashtags. And this wasn't just tabloid fodder anymore. Political commentators began weighing in. Cultural critics wrote long essays on colonialism, feminism, power, and race. Meghan had once again become a symbol, controversial, compelling, and impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, the palace remained silent. No confirmations, no denials, just the cold, careful stillness the firm is known for. But insiders believe this silence was anything but indecision. It was strategy, because while the world speculated, the royal institution was watching, listening, measuring every word and every wave of public opinion. And that silence only fueled the frenzy. Because in a world that runs on information, the lack of it creates a vacuum. And in the case of Meghan and Harry, that vacuum was filled with fire. One major US anchor summed it up best. It's no longer just a royal story. It's a global saga. A monarchy facing modern rebellion. A couple rewriting history. And a world watching every move.